Hello everyone and welcome back to a brand new video here at Tablemon. Thank you so much for tuning in. Now today we're going to be talking about the winning deck from the Tokyo Champions League tournament that happened in Japan this past weekend. The tournament did feature the brand new set Stellar Crown. They also have another new set, Paradise Dragona, which features a bunch of Dragon type Pokemon cards. There's a cool Latias EX as well, which gives basic Pokemon free retreat, if I am not mistaken. However, not a single card from Paradise Dragona and a single card from Stellar Crown featured in the grand finals of the tournament, which was Raging Bolt Ogerpon against Lugia V-Star. Two decks that are very common right now, obviously very powerful decks. And Raging Bolt does get the update of Briar. Briar, you can only play the card when your opponent has 2 prize cards left. And then if one of your Terra Pokemon, in this case Ogerpon, takes a knockout, you get 1 extra prize card. So why is this significant? It allows you to take an extra prize card against single prize Pokemon such as Inchino, right, with Ogerpon. It allows you to take an extra prize card against something like a Charizard EX to close out a game that you're potentially behind in, which is really, really powerful. Or you don't get to use it and you just win because Raging Bolt is actually just a very, very powerful card. And it's just that strong. Yeah, Bellowing Thunder is a very powerful attack. The 70 damage multiplier for the attack is just outstanding. It covers everything really, really well. And then the deck is very turbo and very designed to just go through your deck with those Trekking Shoes, with those PokéStops, not bothering with any cards like Bravery Charm, not bothering with any techie cards other than perhaps the Lost Vacuum, just straightforward beatdown with Raging Bolt, with Teal Ogerpon powering up and dealing as much damage as you possibly can each and every turn, with the supporting cast, of course, of Squawkabilly, Fezandipiti, and Radiant Greninja. All of these cards are very powerful in combination, very fast, powerful, big, basic deck, and honestly, there's not much else that can be said about Raging Bolt. It's a very good deck that does one thing, right? It does one thing, but it does it really, really well. It has a little bit of disruption in the Iono, has catchers and bosses, orders, and Prime Catcher to make sure we're taking down whatever is threatening us. We have 240 HP on the Raging Bolt, which is obviously the big number to have right now in the metagame, the highest for a basic Pokemon, other than Okidogi EX, I guess. But who cares about Okidogi? Apologies to the Okidogi fans, but realistically, it's just Raging Bolt is where it's at. I'm not surprised this deck won. It's been all the rage in Japan. This was also a best of 1 tournament, which has its pros and cons. Of course, we have had a little bit of experience with the best of 3 format over on this side of the world, and there are a lot of issues that come with the new tournament structure. There's people losing win-and-ins to top 8 and then going down all the way to top 64 out of top 32 prizes, which is honestly insane, and I wish something was done about that. But best of 1 also has its issues, right? There's so much variance, and unfortunately, I think we definitely saw that in the finals, in the final match that was played for this tournament, where the matchup was Regidrago against Lugia, very fast paced, and I would say on average, Lugia should have an advantage thanks to Cinccino, or depending on the Cinccino line. This player did have a 3-2 line of Cinccino. However, as the game started, Lugia failed to bench a Lugia V on turn 1, which is honestly really sad. Obviously, like, Lugia players have the very minimum you want to do is bench a Lugia. And then they were not able to do that in that game. And so that meant that they were already behind. They only had a Blood Moon Ursaluna and a Minccino in the active spot. And then the Raging Bolt player, of course, took advantage of this, had a very explosive turn 1, had a pretty stable turn 2, and the Lugia player was able to get a Lugia down, but they were already 3 prizes behind by the time they were able to accomplish that. Then they were able to take 2 prizes on a Fezandipiti thanks to a tech counter catcher that they were playing, so they got a little bit of use out of that. But unfortunately, the Raging Bolt player did not miss a beat, and they were able to knock out the Lugia, and their only concern at that point was making sure that they would be able to play around a potential Legacy Energy on Asenchino, which would make it be worth 0 prize cards, but there were enough targets on the bench, of course, the Arcube says, the Fezandipiti, for them to be able to win. They just needed to make sure that they had access to the boss, and with such a small deck, even if they had Iono, they just Pal Padded back the boss into the deck, and therefore when they were going to get Iono plus KO'd, then they would be able to draw to find the boss with the Fezandipiti X's flip the script ability, thanks to the super small deck left over, and then they just needed 1 energy or a Night Stretcher or the Energy Retrieval to win the game. And then off of the Fezandipiti, they were able to draw the card. Now, I would say there were a few questionable decisions a little bit, or at least the regional player, I mean, they were being very thorough, but it also felt like they were taking an unnecessarily long amount of time in order to make their actions. I feel like they could have thinned their deck a little bit more on the turn prior, but in the end, they were able to just completely seal the game, and that's what they needed to do, right? So the list, as we can see, it's completely standard. I think the Iron Bundle is like the big missing piece that I see here. I've seen Liz play 4 Pokemon Catcher and Iron Bundle. I've seen one of the Pokemon Catchers get caught for an Iron Bundle. However, in this case, there's no Iron Bundle. Obviously, that was fine, right? For the Raging Bull player, they didn't mind not having Iron Bundle in their deck, and it worked out pretty well. Having a cut for the Iron Bundle, like that's probably where the Briar could have come in from a standard list, but honestly, like this is as cookie cutter as it gets. Like maybe the Superior Energy Retrieval is like a big change. It is trying to make up for like usually you would see like 3 Energy Retrieval, 2 Night Stretcher. This list does play 3 Night Stretcher, so you had a lot of recovery on Fezandipiti. They wanted to make sure that they were getting a second Raging Bolt out every single time so they could Sada for the maximum 2 energies instead of just 1. Also potentially getting more use out of Sandy Shocks, being able to use it over and over against whatever deck necessary, and of course just getting the right energy at the right time into your hand. And then since Night Stretcher is half as good as an Energy Retrieval, then you add in the Superior Energy Retrieval and you get like all the wide array of choices in terms of recovery of whatever you need. And then unless you have any of these cards in your starting hand and you have to use Squawkabilly's ability, then you're pretty safe to have access to those cards because PokéStop's not gonna discard them. So a pretty powerful effect and very nice to have that versatility. So I do like that adaptation. Other than that, like I said, nothing too big. Usually you could see like double Bravery Charm in some of these lists. This one actually features no Bravery Charm and the triple PokéStop, which usually we see 2 PokéStops in Raging Bolt. I do like this third option, just trying to go turbo, find what you need, and then sure, you're gonna discard a few Pokemon, which you can recover, right, with Night Stretcher, or supporters, which you can recover with Pal Pad as well. So overall, not surprised that this deck did well in a best of 1. This might be the best deck to have in a best of 1 situation. You have answers to everything, and then you're pretty fast, you're pretty consistent, and your whole deck is only basic Pokemon. You have 12 of them, so you're not going to be getting a lot of mulligans. Getting them out is going to be pretty simple with the Nest Balls and all the multiple counts of the main Pokemon you need, such as Ogerpon and Raging Bolt. So overall, pretty cool deck, pretty powerful, and I fully expect to see Raging Bolt as likely the most popular deck at both the upcoming Dortmund and Joinville tournaments happening this weekend. Now, I will be making videos covering the winning decks for those tournaments as well, just like this one. So we're starting off Stellar Crown with a bang. Raging Bolt taking the first tournament, I would say as expected, beating out Lugia in the finals, Charizard and Regidrago as the other top 4 decks, and then Dragapult, Iron Thorns, Palkia, all those others in the top 16. So really nice variety in top 16 as well, and pretty standard. Yeah, and seems like Terrapago's probably just a partner for Palkia, although of course our format doesn't reflect exactly what happens over in Japan, so we'll have to see what happens in the best of 3 in this upcoming weekend. We are in for a stretch of 8 different tournaments in the Stellar Crown metagame, so I really hope we get to see a lot of diversity. We're going to see an ever-changing metagame, and I do have my Stellar Crown tier list coming out tomorrow on Tuesday. It should be up already. For those of you watching this video, it should be up already for channel members to be able to see. And those of you who are not channel members, all the videos go live 24 hours after they are available for channel members. So if you want to watch it early, you can become a channel member, help support the channel. Otherwise, all videos are available 24 hours later. What do you think? Like, are you surprised about Raging Bolt? Have you played Raging Bolt yourself? Maybe this one is gonna like really cement a lot of people's ideas that this is a good pick for the weekend. And if so, what do you do in the mirror? Is there anything you can do in the mirror other than hope and pray that you get Professor Sada and they don't? Let me know in the comments, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye-bye.